Hey, how's it going, Brandon? So, in this video right now, we're going to be going over your PikaRom deck, the one that we've been testing during our coaching sessions, the one that you've been testing with your brother, the one that you've probably been bringing to tournaments, the updated list, the one with the Jirachis. In this one, we're going to be going against the Blacephalon Naganadel deck that in the last video you got a chance to see exactly what the deck looks like. So if you haven't watched that video yet, be sure to watch that video so you understand exactly what a Blacephalon deck does. Maybe you've already played against a couple online, or maybe your brother's tried some against you, or you've seen some at some local tournaments. This should be a great way for you to see exactly how the matchup plays, and I'll run over the strategies if you face against one in tournament, exactly what you could do with the deck. So I'm basically try to remember everything that you can. And if you have any questions for it during our next coaching session, be sure to ask me things about this particular matchup if it's something that you struggle with. But realistically, this matchup should be pretty good for you, especially if they don't play Mew, like in the list that we have featured in this video. So this is a pretty typical list based off of Michael Bergerac. He made top 32 at Atlantic City out of almost 800 Masters. So this is the list based off of his. So it seems like something that you'll probably face at tournaments if it's something like that. So let's jump into that and we'll see exactly where it goes. I'm going to be challenging someone from the rare candy accounts, and we'll see exactly how that game works for them. And like I said, if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask away during our next session. So I'm going to shoot them over a challenge right now with your deck. This is the exact same list that you have, even though the arts might be a little bit different. And let's see exactly how it works out. Okay. So this is Blacephalon Naganadel. Okay, so we get to call the flip, and realistically, it doesn't matter which one you call. Just make sure you choose one, and you remember what you choose. I'm going to call Tails here, and I lost the flip. So it looks like the Blacephalon deck is going to choose to go first. Okay, so we got a pretty okay start here. It's actually probably best to start with Raichu. We don't want to start with Dedenne, and that's because it has the Dede changeability. We want to start with Raichu because we could always attack with Thunderous Assault, but at the same time, if we attach an energy to the Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX to retreat with a Zeraora GX, then we could always tag switch the energy off of it. Zapdos, you can't use tag switch to take energies off of it, so we want to start with the Raichu, Alolan Raichu for that reason. Gives us more options between energy switch and tag switch to move our energies around, and you don't want to get stuck with those. Since our opponent's going first, it's quite advantageous for us to put down another Pokemon in case they were to play a card like Judge or Reset Stamp, any of those cards that can disrupt our hands. So you want to play down another Pokemon there. So we're going to start with Zapdos, but we want to keep the Dedenne in our hands. Okay, here. So they're starting with a Blacephalon, and you can see that they're going through Ultra Space, and they're going to be going through their deck to be able to find a Pokemon. I wouldn't be surprised if they grab something like, I don't know, let's just say another Blacephalon or a Poiple. So we saw that they grabbed a Blacephalon here. Okay, so they're attaching. They got a bunch of the Poiples. You can see they have the shiny Poiples. But one thing that you got to notice is that your opponent did not play a supporter card. So it's very possible that they don't have anything great going on in their hands. Looks like the active Blacephalon, they're trying to sacrifice it, maybe to try to get things set up for, what's it called? Let's say B-String. That seems like a pretty good strategy of what our opponent might be doing. So when we have options to use their stadiums, we want to see if it's possible. Our deck doesn't really play Ultra Space Pokemon. So you can see we're going to look through and there's no valid cards. But when you have the chance to look through your deck, you have the option to see exactly if there's anything there that's prized. So if there's anything there that's prized, we can totally see what is in our deck. So we see we have our Jirachis, our Zororas, our PikaRom, we got our Tapu Koko. So we can see that there's nothing really important that's in our prize cards. We do have a custom catcher prize. We do have a couple electro powers prized. Looking through, nothing too bad at all. A lightning energy prize. But one card that we didn't see in our deck was Thunder Mountain Prism Star. So I know you know from playing this deck that it's super important to have that card in your deck. And that's just because it allows you to have one less energy to attack for your Pokemon. I know you've played this card many times, and you know how important it is. So it's not in our deck, so it means it's in our 6 prize cards. So we want to try to knock out our opponent's Pokemon to find it. So we can't grab anything with Ultra Space. So let's see exactly what we can do here. We can go in with Volkner if we really want to, but I kind of want to go in with Dedenne here to get these 2 lightning energies in our discard pile for Tapu Koko. So we're going to go ahead with Dedenne here, and we want to discard that hand and draw 6 cards. And you can see here that we were able to get out Tapu Koko right away. So let's go Tapu Koko, Dance of the Ancients, put those right there. Those are all ready for us to use Energy Switch later. And I kind of want to hold on to this hand. We didn't get much else going on with this hand. Yeah, we're going to leave that hand like that. Or actually, I'm changing my mind on that. We could get a free attack off with Zapdos. Seems like a pretty good idea. So let's go retreat, send up Zapdos, and we can get an attack off. Zapdos is a 1 prize card attacking Pokemon, so it's really good to attack against 2 prize card Pokemon or 3 prize card Pokemon tag teams. So we're waiting here to see if the Blacephalon player was able to get anything out of their deck. So the Naganadel GX that they just grabbed from Ultra Space allows them to discard an Ultra Beast Pokemon, and you can see cards that have Ultra Beast are right under the HP. It shows you right there if they're Ultra Beasts. So they're going to discard a card to draw 3 more. Naganadel is really helpful to their deck because they can use the Charging Up ability to gather back energies from their discard pile, similar to Tapu Koko. So our opponent might be trying to use Burst GX, which would flip over one of their prize cards, and if it's an energy, they can attach it to one of their Pokemon in play. I think that's what our opponent's going to do here. So they actually got a pretty good setup off of that Naganadel's Ultra Conversion ability. But that's okay. We are 1 attack away from knocking out that Blacephalon. We just need to have a little bit of top deck luck because we didn't get many good cards off of our Dedenne. So sometimes, even if you have a bad hand, you can get around it. So they flipped a card, and it's a Blacephalon. So that's their GX attack for the game, and they can't get another Pokemon out there. So here we are going to... We've already used Ultra Space, so we can't... There's not any other Pokemon in our deck. Let's use Lysander Labs to shut them off from using their abilities, or their Pokemon with Pokemon Tools. It also gets a card out of our hand because Custom Catcher can draw us cards. We did get into Lightning Energy. But that doesn't really help us too much because we are 1 energy short of getting an attack off. So we're going to power up this Alolan Raichu. And we're going to go for Thunderous Assault again. There's no reason why we shouldn't get an attack off here, because Zapdos is only worth 1 prize card for our opponents. And it's possible that we lose this game. We don't really have much going on in our hands, and that's okay, it happens. So our opponent's quickly replacing our Lysander Labs, and that's usually what happens when you play at a stadium. So if it was a more important stadium like, if it was a more important stadium like Thunder Mountain Prism Star, it would be gone to the loss zone. So when you have a stadium that's important like that, make sure you're playing it at the right time. Here we probably would have played it to attack with Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX, except it was in our prize card, so we can't play it right now. Okay, so our opponent's building up some energies onto their Pokemon with Welder. And they're probably going to attach an energy to their active Pokemon at some point, and they're going to use Mind Blown, taking away 3 energies, or 2 energies with a Beast Energy Prism Star, to knock out our Zapdos. So they will be having to take away 3 energies because Mind Blown does 50 damage for each energy they send to their loss zone. But it looks like they're just going to continue setting up here. The one thing that I'd say, if you are worried about facing against this deck, you could add a Tapu Fini into your deck to kind of stop them from... It would do 200 damage to a Blacephalon for a single energy. So there's the 150, like I said, was going to happen. And since this Dedenne has an energy attached to it, it's better to send up Dedenne first. So we'll send up Dedenne there. And we did get a Volkner, so we do have options here. So let's go Electromagnetic Radar and a Lightning Energy. So we're going to use Electromagnetic Radar to power up these 2 Pokemon here. Or discard those 2 Pokecoms first, sorry. And we're going to grab a Pikachu Zekrom and a Dedenne. Let's do Pikachu Zekrom there. And I'm debating attaching an energy to it. Let's double check to see how many Thunder Mountains, Energy Switch, and Tag Switch. So we do have all of those cards except for the Thunder Mountain in our deck, like we already knew was prized. So we have a pretty good chance at being able to draw out of it. So let's attach the Lightning Energy there, put a Dedenne GX down, and draw 6 cards. Okay, so we didn't get the option to attack that turn, but we can retreat into a Jirachi here and use Stellar Wish. So we can grab an energy switch there. Or we can grab a Cynthia. I like grabbing a Cynthia right now because we don't have a supporter in our hand for next turn. So our opponent has 5 cards in their hand. Let's go Reset Stamp against them. So it's possible that they might not get the knockout next turn. In case they play a Reset Stamp against us, I'm going to put an Escape Board there. And I'm going to go ahead and pass my turn. It's not always about taking knockouts. Sometimes it's much better to wait. So the only way that our opponent can get a knockout on Jirachi is if they got a Welder and they are able to get 2 fire energies during their turn. So they have a Cherish Ball that they're probably going to search for a Dedenne GX. So let's see exactly if they're able to get those combination of cards. Now, if they are playing Dedenne, they should probably attach a fire energy first. Oh, they're going to use Ultra Conversion first to try to draw some more cards. That's one thing we got to worry about when we do play a card like Reset Stamp against our opponents. And they're going to dig through their deck to find some cards. So, we'll see if our opponent's able to find a welder. If our opponent's not able to find a welder, maybe they'll just go for Bursting Burn. They might have cards that they don't want to discard out of their hand from Dedenne, and that's okay. Ooh, I wonder what they're going to discard out of their hands. So they discarded a fire energy and a psychic energy. And if they find a welder, they're going to take the knockout on the Jirachi. But they are doing a good job every single turn by using charging up to power up things in their discard pile. So they did find a welder. This is where the matchup's going to become extremely tough. But our goal here is to use double custom catcher, knock out the Blacephalon on the bench, and use Tag Bolt GX to knock out the Blacephalon in the active. So we'll see if that works out. We'll send up this PikaRom right there. We have a lightning energy. We don't need to worry about electro power because our damage with Tag Bolt GX is going to do 200 damage to that Blacephalon and 170 to that Blacephalon. So we are in a pretty good spot to make sure that it happens. So let's play the electro power. And let's go for an escape board. We could play it on any of our Pokemon. It's best for us to put it on a Pokemon with one retreat. Let's put it on Dedenne. So you can see we got double custom catchers. The only thing that's going to be really tough here is that we are still not able to attack. So, with our opponent only having 3 prize cards left, it's better for us to retreat into something like this Dedenne GX and then pass our turn. Next turn, we're going to try to go for Tag Switch, Energy Switch, and Tag Switch and an Energy Switch. Will get us the 2 energies from our Raichu and Alolan Raichu to this PikaRom. That puts us at 4. Dedenne moving an Energy Switch to this PikaRom is going to put us at 5, and then attaching for our turn is going to put us at 6. We already have a double custom catcher. Our opponent will not use a reset stamp on us because we have 6 cards in our hand and 6 prize cards left. So even though our opponent's drawn 3 prize cards, it's never a good idea to concede. See who our opponent welders to their active, and they're only at 3 cards left in their deck. It's possible that they will deck out. Or maybe they'll run out of energies that they can attack with for Mind Blown. They've already put 4 energies in their lost zone, and they're about to put another 4 in their lost zone as well. Their deck only plays 16 energies, 14 fire, 1 psychic, 1 beast energy. Okay, they're going to knock out our Dedenne here. And if worse comes to worse, we're going to have to use one more Dead Change to try to get the cards that we need. So we're going to send a PikaRom because now's our time to get our attacks off. Okay, so let's go with Volkner here. And Volkner's going to grab us an electromagnetic radar. So we can grab a Dedenne out of our deck. We might as well grab another lightning energy because we will not need any more lightning energies for this game. So let's go ahead and go electromagnetic radar, discarding a Raichu and Alolan Raichu and a Stadium Nav. And we're going to grab a Dedenne, and we want to grab another card out of our deck to discard. Let's discard this Pikachu Zekrom GX. This will stop our opponent from using B-Strings and will be in a really good position to win the game. So let's go double Custom Catcher. Bring up this Blacephalon. Let's attach for our turn. And let's go to Dedenne. We need to get a tag switch and an energy switch. So we did get a tag switch and we did get an energy switch. So let's go energy switch here. From there to there. Let's use tag switch. From here to here. So we're fully powered up for Tag Bolt GX. And we're going to knock out both of their Blacephalon GXs. One prize card, two prize card, three prize card. There's the Thunder Mountain. Four prize cards. It would have been really nice to get a reset stamp to give our opponent only one card in their hands. But we'll see exactly what our opponent can do here. Well, they're going to reset stamp us now, since we did draw some prize cards. And we were able to draw a custom catcher. So since we've already played 3 custom catchers, we can only use that custom catcher to draw cards. But that's fine. We want to be drawing cards. And let's look at our opponent's discard pile. They have 2 fire energies in there. They have 8 in their loss zone. So that's 10, 11, 12. So that means our opponent only has access to 4 more energies, period. Now, it's possible that they're going to go Welder, put down a Blacephalon. Oh, they actually have all 4 of their Blacephalons in their discard pile. So they can't actually attack with Blacephalon at all for the rest of the game. There's no way for them to get back Blacephalon out of their discard pile. So they're going to attach to their Naganadel, and I'm assuming they're going to hit us for 80 damage with Turning Point. So with us having 2 prize cards left, I think this game is pretty much pretty good for us to win. Let's go Custom Catcher to draw a card. We did get a Cynthia off of that. So you can see how Custom Catcher is really good at drawing cards. And let's play the Cynthia. So we did get a Lightning Energy that we could attach to our Raichu and Alolan Raichu. We did get an energy switch, so we can move an energy from this PikaRom to this Raichu and Alolan Raichu. And you can see, after we use Tag Bolt GX, we only need to have 3 energies on this active Pikachu Zekrom. So that's completely fine. There's nothing else we could search. We've played all of our Dedenne GX. So we're just going to go ahead and go full Blitz for the knockouts. And we don't have an energy to search, but we do have Thunder Mountain Prism Star left in our deck. So it is possible for us to attack with Raichu and Alolan Raichu next turn. And we did get a Lightning Energy out of our prize cards. So our opponent here is likely just going to go Turning Point and then proceed to lose the game, or they're going to retreat into Dedenne GX. So even if we had one more prize card left, we'd fully win this game. We have the Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX. And you can see it does 80 plus 80 if you moved it from the bench to the active. So we could retreat here, send that up, have a fresh Pokemon, and attack with Tandem Shock. So there's the knockout, and there's the game against Blacephalon. Pretty easy, but it can be very difficult when you are playing this matchup because they did draw 4 prize cards first. But that's with the power of Tag Bolt GX and using Reset Stamp and making sure we plan out our knockouts properly in this matchup. We also got a pretty rough start off of our Cynthia where we had some dead draws for a couple turns, but you are still able to win the matchup. So let's jump into another game and see exactly how that turns out. The matchup's probably going to be very similar. So I'm going to shoot them over a challenge. Send over to Rare Candy. There we go. And we'll let Rare Candy go first because we did win the last game. We'll play it as if it was a best 2 out of 3. So now that we saw the matchup go one time, we'll see exactly if it does any differently. So like I said, we're going to let them go first since we won the last game. Because at regionals, if you lose a game, you get to choose if you want to go first or second. So we'll play as if it's a big event like a regional championships. So no. Although normally in any game, we want to go first. Here we actually got a pretty good start. Jirachi's the absolute best start for the deck. So we're going to start with Jirachi there. And similar to last game, our opponent is going first. So we want to put another Pokemon down on our bench. Okay, so they started with Dedenne. So it doesn't look like they got a great start, but it looks like they maybe top decked a Blacephalon. Wow, so similar to last game, they didn't get the best start. And if you look there, we attached a skateboard. We really want to attach a skateboard to Jirachi because it allows us to retreat if we're asleep. So the first thing that we can do is Stellar Wish. And you want to know what? Let's go for a Cynthia. That gives us a lot of options to get cards that we might want to play. So let's go a skateboard there, lightning energy on Raichu. And just so you know, Lysander Labs will shut off your skateboard. You only want to be using this card against decks like Malamar, which will block their spell tags. But you want to be careful because you can't retreat with a skateboard if you have a Lysander Labs in play. And then we're just going to play a Cynthia to try to get some other cards set up on our board. Huh. 3 Electro Powers and 2 Pokemon Communications. That's not really what I was expecting off Cynthia. So since we can't attack, we don't want to play down Electro Powers. We have the 2 Pokemon Communications and a Lightning Energy. So we are just going to pass here. Remember when you have Jirachi to always roll to see if you're able to become awake. It's something that a lot of players forget. So if you're playing in tournaments, remember to roll for your asleep check in between turns. So it looks like our opponent top decked a Cherish Ball. So they're going to use Dedenne to try to draw some more cards. Let's see what they discard off this Dedenne. Couple Fires, couple Naganadels. That's fine. And they have some other stuff going on as well. So getting set up with Poipoles, that's always good. And this is what their deck does. It just continuously sets up and sets up and sets up.
Can you guess what's on our new bird?
Okay, so we top decked a Volkner, which means we should be able to attack the Dedenne this turn. We do need to be careful though, because it is very possible for our opponent to use Beast Ring and get quickly set up. So as we saw in last game, we got to be careful on how we choose our knockouts. So let's start off with Volkner. And I think we want to go for an electromagnetic radar and a lightning energy. So you can see that we have our Tapu Koko and we have our Thunder Mountain and we can get a PikaRom out. So let's go electromagnetic radar, lightning energy. And do we have any lightning energies in our discard pile? You always want to double check this before you decide to discard your hands. So let's go electromagnetic radar, discard both of these lightning energies. Let's grab a PikaRom and let's grab a Dedenne. The big thing here is that we're going to be putting the PikaRom back into our deck. Sometimes you really want to play it down, but other times you just want to put it back into your deck because it's much more difficult to search your deck out for a Tapu Koko Prism Star. You can only search it out with Pokemon Communication. So we're going to grab the Tapu Koko Prism Star there. And it seems like you want to play Electro Power here, but you actually don't. We don't want to be knocking out this Dedenne, so we can knock out two Pokemon at once with Tag Bolt GX. So let's go Dedenne and discard this entire hand. Trust me, I know it seems really weird. Okay, so here we want to go for Stadium Nav. We did get a heads, so we can search out Thunder Mountain. And we want to try to go for Stellar Wish here. We didn't get anything this turn again. Wow. Let's go Zorora GX down. Let's attach an energy to our PikaRom. And let's go ahead and pass our turn. Our opponent can't knock out Tapu Koko GX this, or Tapu Koko Prism Star this turn. We can't get the attack off with our PikaRom. And we only want to be attacking with PikaRom if we can. So we're just going to pass. And remember, again, roll to see if you are going to become awake. Okay, so they're evolving into a Naganadel GX. So they'll be able to use Naganadel GX's Ultra Conversion to draw some cards by discarding an Ultra Beast. And I wouldn't be surprised if our opponent decided to go for, let's say, either a Burst GX or a Mind Blown on our Jirachi. They probably aren't going to be using Bursting Burn. So they're using Welder to the Dedenne so they can retreat it. Now they're using Heat Factory. And even though sometimes cards have different arts, you can see these Poiples both have different arts, they are the same card. So you want to be paying attention to what all your opponent's Pokemon can be doing. This Pokemon can be scary because they can snipe one of your bench Pokemon or any Pokemon for 170 damage if they decide to power it up. All right, so it looks like they're finally retreating, and they're either going to go for Burst GX or Mind Blown. Okay, going for the Burst GX. We'll see if they get the Fire Energy. So they took away a Poiple here, and we're still asleep, but don't worry, we still have access to Escape Board. So we can attack this Blacephalon. We just want to be able to make sure that we can do it. Let's go Volkner for an electromagnetic radar and a lightning energy. And we're going to discard a lightning energy and a Zorora GX. For a PikaRom, And another Raichu. Let's go Jirachi Stellar Wish. Let's grab the custom catcher that we need. So now we have both of them. And let's see what our opponent can do next turn in terms of damage. So they can do Mind Blown 50 plus 80, because that gives an extra 30, 130, 180. Do they have another Fire Energy in their discard pile? They have 2. So it looks like they're going to be able to knock out our Pikachu Zekrom GX for next turn. That is really tough considering we have a Pikachu Zekrom prized. So, in order for us to get all set up for next turn, I don't think we want to attack with Pikachu Zekrom GX. That has 1 retreat cost. This is looking like a rough situation compared to last game. Some 2 prize cards left. So let's go with Thunder Mountain Prism Star. Dance of the Ancients between those two. I don't really like this play, but it's the play that we have to go with. Let's go double custom catcher, bring up this to Dene, and we're going to knock it out with Raichu this turn. I think it's the best play that we can be doing because our opponent's able to knock us out. So we're going to use Tandem Shock there for 160. Even though I really wanted to be using Full Blitz to power up Pikachu Zekrom, our opponent likely was going to get the knockout. And now they have access to B-String. But we'll see what our opponent does. So goodbye Thunder Mountain. And let's see what our opponent does this turn. Maybe they'll start playing their B-String. So good call for us, because they did evolve into another Naganadel, so they can get more energy in play. Okay, there's an Acrobike. There's another Welder, so our opponent just looks like they're doing everything they possibly can here. Looks like they're fully set up to win this game. It's okay, we still have options next turn. We'll just see exactly what we can do here. And they're going to reset stamp us. That's okay, our hand didn't change much. And we still have access to 2 custom catchers. We already have one of them. So maybe we can knock out one of their other Pokemon that has energies on it. Okay, 280 damage. So if anything, the biggest thing that scares us about knocking out our opponent's Pokemon is they have access to Naganadel GX, which can snipe one of our Pokemon. So let's send up Jirachi and let's double check exactly what we can do this game first. So 5 energies in the Lost Zone, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in play, 4 in the discard pile. So they have access to 2 more fire energies in their hands, their prize cards, and their deck. So I'm going to assume that our opponent has access to at least one of them in their hand. So our goal is to go Reset Stamp, Custom Catcher, knock out Naganadel, and try to attack with the Alolan Raichu GX. Yeah, this is not great, but it 100% can happen. So our first step here is to go Stellar Wish. We just got access to Cynthia. Let's go Jirachi. Let's retreat Jirachi. Let's go Stellar Wish again. That's not going to help us. But maybe it will. Let's go for Energy Switch. We have access to Energy Switch from Zorora to PikaRom. We can switch into PikaRom. Actually, it's possible for us to reset stamp our opponent into absolutely nothing. So you want to what? Let's try to go ahead and do that. Let's just go Custom Catcher first, see if we draw into anything, and we magically top decked into Reset Stamp. Awesome. So you can see how Reset Stamp can change exactly what our opponent has. Let's do that. Let's play Cynthia, and let's change our goal to knocking out Blacephalon and then Dedenne. Let's also block their Lysander Labs. So we have all of these options. If our opponent can't use Mind Blown next turn or retreat into Naganadel, we will win the game. So let's go Full Blitz. We have 6 energies on our Pokemon. And let's see what our opponent has. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to use Ultra Conversion if that's a possibility. They got an Ultra Space there. They should still have a Blacephalon GX left in their deck. So we'll see exactly what our opponent does here. They might just attach a Fire Energy and go for Bursting Burn if they can't get out of the active position. Okay, and Bursting Burn's exactly what they decided to go for. So we're confused and burnt, but that's okay. We have a Volkner in our hands. But before we decide to use the Volkner, do we have our other switch prized? How many switch have we played? We played 2 switch in the deck. We have 1 in our discard pile, so we can check with Ultra Space to see if we have it in the deck. So we have switch there. Perfect. We are able to win this game. So no matter what, you could always turn games around if you try hard. Sometimes you're going to get a bad hand, and that's okay. And you could lose if you have a bad hand. But you could always get out of it if you have something to play around with, and as long as you try your best, that's all that matters. So let's go Tag Bolt GX, and we can knock out that Dedenne on the bench to draw 4 prize cards. So the key strategy in this matchup is to try to aim to use Tag Bolt GX. Always have a plan. Sometimes it can change. but you are able to pull wins out of nowhere as long as you try really hard. Okay, so we'll try one last game against this matchup. So let's send them over a challenge again. And we will let them go first. Okay, so we're going to call the flip. We're going to call tails. And we lost the flip anyways. We were going to let them go first anyways. It doesn't matter. So let's see what we could do here. We started with a Zorora because remember, we don't want to start with Dedenne GX. And that's the only Pokemon we put down. All right, so if your opponent mulligans, you usually want to draw more cards. So let's draw a card here. And we do, like the other games, if we're going second, we want to put down another Pokemon on our bench. That's okay. They started with Poipole. That's a better start than Dedenne GX last game. I know you hate it. I know I hate it when I start with Dedenne GX. So that can lead to some rough situations happening. Okay, there's an Acrobike, so this looks like a pretty good start for our opponent, getting a Welder, an Acrobike, Poipoles. Okay, so we did get a Cynthia in our hands. That's pretty cool. But you want to know what? I think it's better for us to get the 2 Lightning Energies in our discard pile for a Tapu Koko GX. So let's go ahead and go for Dedenne, get those 2 Lightnings in there. It's not that big of a deal to discard them away. And see what we get here anyways. So we did get a switch into Jirachi. And we could use Stellar Wish. Don't play your Pokemon down before you use Stellar Wish. Okay, cool. So we got an energy switch. That's kind of cool. We're going to keep that into our hands just so we have access to it for in the future. Let's go Jirachi down again, and we could retreat into this Jirachi because of a skateboard and see if we can get anything off Stellar Wish here. So we haven't played a stadium yet. Let's go for, or a supporter yet. So let's grab a Cynthia. We're going to drop Pikachu Zekrom down, attach a Lightning Energy to it, and let's go for Cynthia. So not a lot else that we could do, but we are able to attack next turn if we really need to. So all we could do is pass, and again, remember to see if your Jirachi wakes up. So typical strategy for every single game is to try to knock out 2 GX Pokemon with Tag Bolt GX if it's possible. That will shut them off from using their B strings in the game. Okay, they're playing a reset stamp on our hands. That's okay. There's an Naganadal, so it looks like they're pretty set up here. So let's see what else they can do this turn. I think they're probably going to go for a Burst GX. Okay, so they did get the Beast Energy Prism Star off of their Burst GX, so that's the first time they got the energy out there. Now, here's exactly what we want to go for. We want to go Pokemon Communication, away as Zora. And let's grab a Tapu Koko Prism Star. Let's put the Tapu Koko Prism Star down, power up some of our Pokemon, Dance of the Ancients right there. So we can attack this turn with full Blitz. But before we do anything, let's see what Stellar Wish brings us. So we did get an Electromagnetic Radar there. I don't know if that's the card that we want. It's either that or we want to go for... I think we want to go for Electromagnetic Radar here. No, we definitely want to go for Volkner because that can search for both. So sometimes you want to be able to search for things. So let's go Volkner. Let's grab an Electromagnetic Radar. Let's grab a Lightning Energy. We do need to attach an Escape Board to this Jirachi so it can get free retreats. Let's go Electromagnetic Radar. Let's discard a Lysander Labs and a Lightning Energy. Let's discard a Lysander Labs and a Custom Catcher, sorry. And let's grab a Pikachu Zekrom, and let's grab a Dedenne just in case they knock out our active Pikachu Zekrom GX. So we're going to do that. We're going to attach. We're going to go Thunder Mountain. And we are going to retreat into this Pikachu Zekrom. And we're going to attack with full Blitz. Now, since our opponent has 4 energies in play already, we want to make sure that we can power up one of our Pokemon. Let's power up the one on the bench, because this Pokemon in the active is likely going to get knocked out. Okay, looks like they're getting all set up here. And they're all ready to knock out our active Pikachu Zekrom. So we'll see exactly what they have going on their side. So there's the energy necessary to knock out our active. And here we could send up our Jirachi. So our opponent's just drawing their prize cards right now. Cool. So we top decked an energy switch. That's one of the cards we need in order to make sure that we can get this knockout on their 2 Pokemon. So let's go Stellar Wish. There's the Volkner that we need to make sure that this all happens. So we can grab a lightning energy and a custom catcher. So the same strategy that we've been using each and every game. So there's custom catcher, and there's a lightning energy. Now we have to make a tough choice on who we want to knock out here. We can either knock out Blacephalon, Naganadel, or Blacephalon. I think it's better to knock out Blacephalon to start off. So let's go lightning energy there. Energy switch from Zorora to Pikachu Zekrom. Let's go double custom catcher to bring up their Blacephalon GX on the bench. So we know we're taking away their Beast Ring turn, which is super important. And let's use the Dene GX to try to get a reset stamp on them as well. So we didn't get a reset stamp, but it is possible for us to get another stadium with Stadium Nav. Or not. We did not get a Pokemon there. Or we did not get a Heads there. Let's retreat into this Jirachi since we have a switch in our hands. And let's try Stellar Wish again. So we are able to get off a Lysander Labs. So let's go ahead and go Lysander Labs there. Switch first. Always make sure that you switch first, especially when you're using Lysander Labs, because it would have shut off Escape Board, even though we already retreated. And let's go Tag Bolt GX to knock out these two Pokemon. So our opponent has one way that they could win the game, and that's by using Welder and attaching 2 fire energies from their Naganadel GX and sniping one of our bench Pokemon for 170 damage. And it's going to be a Dedenne because that allows them to win the game. So we'll see if that's something that they're able to get. And there's a Welder. There's 2 fire energies. Can they get the third? Oh no. So they were able to get out of it. We really need the reset stamp there to bring them down to a less amount of cards. So that was the one piece we were missing out of our combination. So we did lose this game. That's okay. We are able to lose a game. We did win the other 2 games. And that's completely fine. But it did show exactly what we were supposed to do in that matchup. So that's basically how the matchup is played out. You can see exactly how you want to snipe 2 Pokemon, use your custom catchers, your reset stamps, all of those cards in combination with each other in order to win the game. As you saw, as soon as we were able to do that, we quickly won Game 1 and Game 2. So if you ever find yourself playing against a Blacephalon GX deck, these are the strategies that you want to follow. So if you play against one on PTCGO, you can always use this video as a reference point for that. But again, you want to save your custom catchers, hit the active Blacephalon for 150, custom catcher up the next one, and knock out both of them with Tag Bolt GX. So, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me during our next session. I'd love to help answer some of these questions for you. Blacephalon is one of the most popular decks, and if you're a little bit confused about the Blacephalon list, check out the video before that goes over the deck profile of what Blacephalon looks like. One of the key strategies that you could be using while you're playing Pokemon is to make sure you know exactly what's going on with your opponent's deck. So if you know what's in their deck and what's in a popular version of their deck, you can see exactly the types of cards that they play and try to make a strategy around that. So, I guess after this, you'll see exactly what deck we'll be covering in the next video. Good job, Brandon!